Hello, my name's Sheehan, and today I'd like to talk about Brahms's Violin Concerto in D major. And I'd like to go through this marvellous work, exploring the themes and how Brahms has put them into these marvellous structures in each of the three movements. I'm one of these people who just loves to know where I am in a piece of music. Otherwise my attention wanders, if I'm being honest. And that's why I do these videos, to kind of help people understand how classical music's put together, so we really know the music and we really know how to follow the logic of the music as we listen to it. That's why I do these videos. If this is your kind of thing, please click like and subscribe. Now, Brahms wrote this in 1878. Soon after the Second Symphony, which is also in D major, and it is dedicated to Joseph Joachim, the great violin virtuoso of Brahms's day and great friend of Brahms at this point in his life. And Joachim also helped Brahms with some of the solo lines in this piece, gave him some advice. And Joachim also premiered the work in Leipzig on New Year's Day 1879 on the programme with Beethoven's Violin Concerto. What an occasion that must have been. And although Brahms did complain there's too much D major going on that day. but you know, this work has just become such a cornerstone of the violinist's repertoire, you know, and it is such an amazing work. It's so wonderful in that not just the solo violin lines, but the whole structure of the piece, the whole kind of symphonic argument behind this music is just superb. And it really is like, I suppose, gazing at, you know, the Austrian Alps or something. It kind of just takes your breath away. You know, some people have complained in the past, you know, there's too much focus on the orchestra, not on the soloist. Pablo de Sarasate, he didn't like it. He's another virtuoso violinist of the 19th century. He said, you know, he didn't want to play it because the oboe got the tune in the second movement. You know, but despite these things, this is just such an amazing concerto. And it's lovely to be able to talk to you about it today. We're going to start with the first movement, and the first movement is, as in most concertos by the 19th century, there's two, it's in sonata form, but there's two expositions. Firstly, the orchestra lays out all of the, well, most of the melodies. Brahms leaves out one key melody actually. But we begin like this, with the first subject group. Then we move to a new idea. We slide down a key, C major, wonderful change there. And we hear this expressive line on the oboe. Then we have this new strident idea, the third idea, which is in octaves. We're back to the opening idea again, with this toing and throwing of the main triad idea between the cellos and violins. The music then dies down and we hear a fourth idea like this. come to a transition idea. And then Brahms misses out the main second subject idea because he wants to save something for later. But we do have a couple of other ideas in that second subject group presented here. We have this idea. We then have another terse, Baroque sounding idea, which is the final idea in the second subject group. And this paves the way for the solo violin entrance. Now this violin entry, in terms of the musical argument, acts as a kind of transition, really, a link between the first exposition and the second exposition. And eventually we get back to D major and we have the violin playing the original melody. We then hear the other first subject ideas from the orchestral exposition. Da, 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 da. Do you remember that? Which was played on the oboe before. And we hear that octave idea again. And this time the violin adds its own counter subject over the top. Before we get to the transition, da, 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 da. Then we come to the second subject, and we hear now the main melody of the second subject for the first time. We're in A major, the dominant, and here it is, this gorgeous tune. We then have that creeping idea from the second subject group as well. Before we come to that exciting rhythmic idea, this time on the solo violin. We then have an orchestral tutti, a stormy passage, which acts as a codetta when viewed in this sonata form structure. When the development begins, we're reminded of that theme from the second group, the ascending chromatic idea. We're in C minor now. We then hear this other tune. This is a new tune springing up from this. The development then brings that da 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 throughout the rest of the orchestra. We hear a lot of that rhythmic Baroque idea from the end of the second subject group in the development as well. We hear that da-da, that kind of like that motif from that idea, those two notes. And then sure enough we come to this glorious return to the first subject for the recapitulation. And as you'd expect with the recapitulation, you hear that chain of glorious melodies we first heard in the Exposition. We have a tutti at the end of the recapitulation, a Codetta, before we hit the Cadenza. Now the famous cadenzas by Joseph Joachim, which is a tremendous piece of violin music in its own right, really. But listen out for other cadenzas as well, because they're brilliant. There are brilliant ones other than Joachim's. I love the one composed recently by Augustin Hardelik. Check that out on YouTube. I think that's a brilliant cadenza. Anyway, after that we come to the Coda, where this marvellous first movement ends in exhilaratingly satisfying way. The second movement, the Adagio, is in ternary form. It's a very beautiful movement. And as I mentioned in the introduction, and much to the annoyance of Pablo de Sarasate, the violin virtuoso of the 19th century, the main melody in the A section is presented at first in an exquisitely soulful way by the solo oboe. We're in F major. Beautiful tune, isn't it? The solo violin embellishes upon that. Before we have a change of key, we move into the central section via a short transition. We're in F sharp minor now. This really achingly beautiful melody. Then we have another short transition before we're back to the A section again with that lovely melody in F major. And it's here we have, I think, one of the most gorgeous moments of the whole concerto as the solo violin elaborates on that melody. The finale is rondo in its structure, and it's very much Brahms in his gypsy vein, his Hungarian dance vein, I think. We begin with this great idea. that's the tune, the great tune that keeps coming back. I remember when I first knew this piece as a kid, I always thought it was almost indistinguishable between that and the Bruch third movement of that concerto. But there we go, rousing music. We have a transition before we come to the B section in E major. That kind of thing. And before long we're back to the C section is kind of like a development, but there's also an additional melody, which actually recalls the main melody from the Adagio, the second movement. That kind of thing. And then we hear the B section again, the second idea, main idea, this time in the tonic, D. We have another transition before we come to perhaps the grandest statement of that main A rondo theme. I love the way Brahms kind of trips the rhythm there. It's like almost got a Spanish feel. We then have a final episode, which I call D. And remember, the bar numbers with the sections are down below in the description. And this has kind of got a cadenza-like feel to it. Now we come to the Coda. And I love the Coda. It sounds even more folky now, and Brahms kind of mixes up the main rondo idea with that dotted second B section idea. There's a foot-stomping earthiness to this Coda. I absolutely love it. And of course, eventually this takes us to the end of this extraordinary concerto, Brahms's Violin Concerto in D major. Thank you for watching this. If this is your kind of thing, please click like and subscribe. Also, if you love my videos, please consider donating. The PayPal link is below. And if you have a suggestion for a piece you'd like me to look at, please put it in the comments. Thanks for watching. All the best. Bye.